So once you made this variable, go to on Gamemode init, and in here type the colors. Type text color attacker equals for example, this is a red color. Text color defender, this is a blue color. Text color referee, this is a referee color, because we made it for max team. So you can put text color attacker sub, text color defender sub as well if you want, but it's not really needed, so I'm just gonna put all these three for now. I also made this later on for the text drop, but I'm gonna go through this later. So once you created the text colors based on team, you can go back to on dialog. So to send message, this is the color of the name. So this is the name of the player. If you can see, I put two strings in here. So the first string will determine the color. So instead of me putting a bracket and then a red color, I can just put a string and then type in here text color player ID team. So it will get the this will be the text color based on the player team. So if the player team is attacker, this will be red. If it's defender, this will be blue. And then this is the name of the player. So player ID name, and then this text will be white. So put this has selected. This all will be white, and then again the color of the text based on the player team, M4, and then white again, and then the color again, and MP5. So you formatted the message. Now do exactly the same thing for others. Our second weapon set, which means our third weapon set, is because the first one is the title, the second one is our M4 and MP5, and the third one is M4 and shotgun in the game. Is this. So as you can see, I said the third, but it's the second, so that's why we type limits list item -1. And you do exactly the same for this, but instead of M4 MP5, I put M4 and shotgun because our second set is M4 and shotgun. And do exactly the same for all the 10 sets. And at the end, you need to send message to everyone. So you switch player ID team, and if the player that was picking the weapon is attacker, then for all the players in the server, for the ones that are attackers, you send client message, all the players that are attackers, -1 the color, because you don't need a color, we put color in here already, and then string. So it's just gonna send a message to all the attackers. So if my team is attacker, I pick deagle and shotgun, it's gonna send all attackers in the server, all the attackers that I picked deagle and this. And if the player team was defender, then for all the players in the server, for the ones that are defenders, you send a message. And that's it. So yeah, and also now when the player picked a weapon, that means that number of times picked is ++, which means the number of times the weapon is picked increases. So when the player dies or the player disconnects, you have to reset it. So if you go back to on player death, so if the sniper limit in the server is 1 and someone picked it and he died, then you need to reset the limit. So type if player ID weapon picked is bigger than 0. So once we made the weapon picked in player variables, we need to make sure that its value initially is 0 in OnPlayer Connect, so that every new player that connects to the server will have weapon picked as 0. And then we are saying in OnPlayer death that if the weapon picked is bigger than 0, which means that you picked some weapon set, then the number of times the weapon is picked based on the player team and based on the weapon that he picked. Again, -1, -. So this will decrease it. So for example, if you picked 1 sniper, it's gonna, if you were team was attacker and you picked 1 sniper, then it's gonna decrease the time spent for attacker for that weapon set that you picked, for example sniper. But remember, if you go back to one dialog, for example, if you pick M4 and shotgun, the list item is 2, so your weapon picked will be equal to 0, so this value will be equal to 2. But on the other hand, if you go to game, this is the third weapon set, because the first one is your title, the second set is M4 and MP5, the third set is M4 and shotgun. That's why you have to type that -1. That's why you have to type this -1 in here, because your weapon pick starts again from 0 running to 9 instead of starting from 1 to 10. So it will reset this times picked for based on the player team, based on the weapon that he picked, and you reset the player weapon picked back to 0. Again, you do the same thing for OnPlayer disconnect, so go to OnPlayer disconnect. So if the player disconnect, if the player had sniper and he disconnects, it's gonna reduce this times picked so that the next player can pick sniper. Later on we will need this again. For example, if you have such remove command, if I pick sniper and you remove me, then you'll have to reset this weapon set there as well, so that someone else can pick sniper. So this is all about the weapon dialog. I think I covered everything. I hope you guys understand it, and if you don't worry about it. The more you script, the more you'll understand. So we had weapon limits, we had how many times the weapon is picked, which weapon did the player picked, load weapon limits from config, reduce the number of times, on player death and disconnect, added color, and define weapon names. So this is everything I did for weapon limit. Now I also added on player take damage the texture that you see when you hit someone, and then for example when you hit someone else. Now I could make another one, a better one. This is the one that I used for Auto Arena or a Dead Soon. I could probably make a better one, but I can't. I'm not gonna make it now because I don't have time. So I just copied it from Auto Arena. If you go to OnPlayerTakeDamage, these are all the variables, so I suggest you just copy them for now. Later on when you understand more about scripting, you can probably change it, like re-script it to anything else, or I can probably make it better next time. But for now you can copy all these variables for OnPlayerTakeDamage, and then this is the callback. Public, I don't think it's there in the script, so you have to add this public OnPlayerTakeDamage. So just copy everything. Now remember, I commented these lines because if you spectate someone in Auto Arena and he hits someone, you will see the text as well for the ones that are spectating. But for now we don't have that function, we don't have spectate in our script, so I commented all this. And I also changed the style. Just copy this whole line and just go through it, see if you can understand anything about it. I changed the styles, the texture styles, so you will see that the styles are different, and I think it looks nice. This is a black color. On Dead and Auto Arena I used white colors, but for this one I'm going to use black colors everywhere, just to make it look different and not the same as usual. You can change it to anything you like, make it even better. So this is all player take damage. I'll probably be fixing it later on as well. I also made this round kill damage. If you look on the left hand side of your radar in Auto Arena or a Dead Zone server, you can see your kills, damage, or points in Auto Arena case, and total damage in a Dead Zone. So I put this line, I put the texture there. I called it round kill damage. You can put this texture as well. You have to make the texture first, and then create the texture in load player texture. Now I created all these textures, I colored them, in my own style. You can change the colors, and once you created the textra, make sure you show the textra in when the player spawns. So you'll have to first put a string. For example, if you just show the textra, it won't show you anything. So first you need to do player textra set string, just like we did for FPS ping and limit in on main functions or on script update. So you can put kills and dates and everything. Now for the colors of for example, this kills is black, and the color of the kills, the value, this will be based on the player team. Now this is not the same for Auto Arena and Edetsun. This is always red, but in here in this script it will be based on the player team. So if the player team is attacker, this value will be red, and if it's defender it will be blue. Now I made this variable just like the other variable, text color. In here text color, I made TDC, text draw color, for each team, and this is the size of the string. We don't need a big size, so you can just put 5. And then again in on Gamemode init, I defined them so that TD attacker is red, defender is blue, referee is yellow. So once you've done that, in on player request spawn, once you textra set string for the player around the textra and the string, then you can show textra for player. And then just to update it, you can put this in OnPlayerTakeDamage. So if you go back to OnPlayerTakeDamage, you will see that when the player hits someone, the player's round damage will increase, because its player issuer ID is the one that hits you. So if I hit someone, then issuer ID is me. So my round damage will increase by the amount of damage that I did. So once I increase that, then I need to update my textra on the left hand side, the kills damage. I also need to put for total damage as well, so my total damage can increase. So I can either put it here or at the end round. If you want your total damage to increase every second, every time you hit someone, then you can put that in here as well. Player issuer ID total damage plus equals amount. And then again you tap string, you tap exactly the same thing, otherwise the style will be different. This is damage and everything. Player issuer ID round damage, this is the color, and then total damage. You textra set string again, and that's it. You don't need to show it again. So once you have the textra there, you don't need to show it again and again. That's pretty much it. You can copy all this. I suggest you copy all this. And also if you go to main, if you go to on script update, I have this. So this once you hit someone, you get the textra, and the time for that textra to disappear is decided from here. So the textra will disappear in 5 seconds, because this function is updated every second. So copy all this as well. I'm pretty sure this is not a very good way of scripting it, but for now you can have this, and I think it works pretty good for now. It's smooth, it's not that bad.